Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the webinar. We're going to talk about solving the home care crisis today. My name is Austin Gatos. I'll be your host and moderator today. Um, as far as the panelists today, I'll let everyone go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we can get into the questions.
Hello, everybody. I'm Zach Fraley with Senior Placement Solution here in North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Jessica Fortner Duggins, and I am the owner and agency director of Home Helpers Home Care of Belmont.
Hi, I'm Emmy Fortner. I'm the service supervisor RN with Home Helpers Home Care of Belmont.
Fantastic. And again, I'm Austin Gatos. Well, to get going, let's get into the discussion. So first of all, give us kind of the 2-minute origin story of each of your organizations and the lens that you bring to home care today. And Zach, you can kick us off.
Absolutely. So, after 10 years in the senior living industry and home care industry, I founded Senior Placement Solution. And this was inspired by families that are struggling to find trusted care options. So, I offer personalized placement for assisted living, for memory care, for home care, and I vet providers for both quality and a commitment to excellence. So I utilize my industry experience to advocate for seniors and their loved ones who need long-term care, and I connect them with trusted care providers like Home Helpers Home Care.
Great. Thanks, Zach. Jess, Emmy?
Our journey into home care really started with a heart for serving others. I was working um, at a nonprofit supporting children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and I really loved the work. I was really passionate about it. And my dad saw that passion and came up with a way that we could serve the community together. During that time, my brother married Emmy, who just so happened to be a hospice registered nurse and just has a heart for geriatrics. And all the pieces kind of fell together, and Home Helpers of Belmont was born. And from there, we built a high integrity family run agency. And our lens is extremely personal. It's an extension of the values we were raised with. So treating people with dignity, stepping in when times get tough, and making sure that all of our clients and caregivers feel like they matter.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for that. What macro trends in terms of demographics, payment models, regulations, are you seeing, shaping home care over the next 5 years?
So I know with demographics, to kind of set the stage with this, I mean, you have the US Census that says that 20% of Americans are going to be over the age of 65 by 2030. At the same time, you have this converging with the fact that we have the largest growing segment of our population is 90 plus. And AARP study says that you have those Americans, out of those Americans, 87% are wanting to age in place through end of life. So clearly it's going to fuel the need for expanded home care services and providers.
Absolutely. We're right on the cusp of the silver tsunami here. And like Zach was saying, more people want to age in place. They're not ready or not interested in moving to communities or facilities. And we hear it all the time. The only way I'm leaving this house is feet first. So we want to make that happen, and so do families, but they can't do it alone. So that's really where we step in. And with this growing demand, it's going to go beyond just our standard personal care. It's going to be dementia support, chronic condition management, and companionship. So this is really the time for home care agencies to prepare in building our foundations and our teams, building those community partnerships like with Zach. He's a great partner for us, and educating families. And we're just going to have to be able to meet that demand.
You've got, and the other thing, absolutely, Jessica, and you've also got the technology. We know that technology is advancing, and with custom automations and AI, we're hoping that it will continue to make technology more user friendly and accessible for all, which is going to be, very key within the continued sort of innovation on that front. And having worked with Team Bridge to develop an application for a home care company, I can tell you it's going to be very important to have both modern technology that's consistent with the applications that we're using every day, and not this sort of legacy antiquated software, because it will allow for a more both patient, operator, and a caregiver centeredness and connectedness. So we're looking forward to continuing to see this develop.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. When families first reach out, what gaps or pain points still surprise you, and how do you see agencies closing those gaps faster?
So when families reach out to us, one thing that still really surprises me is how little they actually know about home care. We get confused with home health a lot. So that's again going on with the education. It's really important knowing how to simplify these things to explain to families and let them know in a clear way what we offer and what we do.
Absolutely. Education is so big. If they know about it sooner, they can make a decision from a calmer place. It's not that 911 emergency. What
Right.
do I do? Where do I go? So it's up to us to really educate, get out into the community, churches, community centers, support groups, and build the relationship with their healthcare providers so that they are aware that we exist before that crisis hits. And being clear and concise so that we're not overloading, an overwhelmed family. Knowledge is power, and the sooner that they have that knowledge, the
Yeah.
sooner they have the power to focus on what matters most.
Yeah, and the way that they can prepare that way they're not scrambling at the last minute is really important, what we're trying to touch on.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sorry, Austin, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just in case anyone in the audience doesn't know the difference between home care and home health, could you give a quick overview of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a non-medical home care agency, which means we touch more on the ADLs, the IADLs. ADLs is what you do every day. So brushing your teeth, taking a shower, help with toileting, meal preparation, those sorts of things. And then, light housekeeping, transportation, those little things just that you do day to day. But we don't perform any skilled care. So that would be where home health would step in. But we're there for, the 4 hour to the 24-hour time block. So home health might come in and they will do their visit for, 45 minutes to an hour, but we are the ones that are in there longer and we kind of touch on those other things.
Yeah, just the things that get a little bit harder as you get a little bit older.
Yeah, and they're really the client is in control of the home care, whereas with home health, the doctor, orders that. So it's really up to their discretion, how many hours you get, what kind of care you receive. But our clients, we tell them all the time, you're the boss.
Yeah.
So that's something else that makes it different.
Perfect. Thanks. And Zach, I did jump in there, so please continue.
No worries. Very important clarification there. But for me, it's just looking at. I'm never surprised at how the intensity of these moments. Because we're in the 11th hour industry. Like where people have waited to the point where they need something yesterday. So it's really mission critical that you've got agencies that are able to step in, like home helpers, who are going to close the gaps, make sure the communication is clear, and be able to rapidly identify the caregiver who is going to be the best fit for that particular family. So again, something that we know technology can continue to kind of aid in making that connection point. And hopefully it will be at some point in the future, we'll have it as easy as when we're watching Netflix and it says, well, you've been watching this, you might, consider this. So we're looking forward to continuing to see that growth and development.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's helpful. One of the challenges in the caregiver industry and healthcare in general is that turnover, remains pretty high across the industry. What practical steps have you seen like move the needle for retention and engagement of those providers?
So one thing that stands out to me that we've really seen make the biggest difference is creating a culture where caregivers truly feel valued and supported. They're not just another worker. They're a person, and we treat them as such. But training them to the point where they are 100% confident in their abilities to go into that home and help that help that client to the best of their ability. And the training doesn't stop when we hire them. It's ongoing and, consistent communication. I'm in consistent communication with our caregivers and also as well as our clients and their families, but really, making sure that I don't pick up on a problem when it's already been a problem for a while. Being proactive, and just making sure that they know that we have their back and that we're here for them. That's really made the biggest difference in caregiver retention for us.
Yeah, and some other things that I kind of take care of on a director's side is the recognition, handwritten notes. We do a monthly caregiver of the month shout out on our Facebook page, and then knowing details about their lives, like, somebody just bought a house or adopted a new dog or is leaving the country for the first time on vacation. Those are special things that we like to celebrate with them so that they know that they matter to us and we love them as people too.
Absolutely.
And something else that we hope they realize we love them is the thoughtful client matching. I like to joke that I play matchmaker because we really want our clients and our caregivers to build that connection and that relationship. It's just so much more fulfilling and worthwhile when they do. We don't want either client or caregiver to wake up dreading what the day brings. We want them to be excited to spend the day together.
Yeah, it really seems like that personal connection to the client is probably really powerful for caregivers.
Extremely powerful. Yeah.
And again, consistently, keeping track of the caregivers who are showing up on time. I know it's back to this sort of recognition point, but making sure that when we are getting positive feedback about them from families and or the community, that we're kind of reiterating that to them and letting them know that. So, and of course, with other I'm sure with you all, Jessica, and other operators, flexible scheduling for those individuals, because there's an understanding that, hey, they're investing in your family and your partnership. So you want to make sure you acknowledge that life happens, and you kind of are able to manage from there. So
work-life balance is huge. And if they say, hey, I just need a day, okay, we no questions asked kind of thing sometimes. But we want to support them because we realize that while home helpers might be our baby in our life, they have babies and lives outside of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Shifting gears a little bit, quality care. What does that mean in 2025, and how are you measuring it beyond basic compliance?
So for us, and I touched on this a little bit a while ago with the education and the communication. Not all agencies have an involved RN, home care agencies, and that RN might just sign the care plan, but they may not ever actually meet the client. That's something that we approach really differently. So I go to the assessment, I am there, I get to know the client, get to know their family, and just having that relationship. We have that bond before we go in and we take the caregiver, and just knowing that they have that extra support to lean on. And that goes for clients, families, and caregivers as well. They know that they can reach out to me if they do have a medical clinical concern. Even though we are non-medical, I'm there to communicate with the families and say, hey, they're acting a little off, maybe we need to get their urine checked, they might have a UTI. I can't tell you how many UTIs we've caught because of behavioral changes. So that is, something that really makes a difference in quality, having quality care. It's not just I'm the RN and I'm signing the care plan and here you go, here's your caregiver. It's way more than that, and it's deeper than that.
Mm-hmm. And we measure it, just by the standard. We want client feedback, caregiver feedback. We watch hospitalization rates, and something special is when families refer us to their friends and family. Like we had that happen this week, and that was just like the coolest compliment you could ever get. And then, the other metrics we kind of gauge. It's the quiet moments when the caregiver feels comfortable and supported enough to reach out to us with a problem. And we know the client and their family well enough to address these issues in real time. So
exactly.
That's special.
No questions. And again, Emmy, you touched on this, but it's this holistic view that you have. You've got your caregivers, you have your family, and your operator. When everybody's working synergistically with each other, and there's an acknowledgement that, you know, this is a difficult business. I mean, it really is.
It is.
It's intensive. There's a lot of time commitment. So it's definitely a something that will promote the care, the quality care when everyone is kind of working together. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Technology, where do you see it adding the most value right now? You know, that could be anything from workflow automation to caregiver training to client transparency or something else. You know, obviously, you know, we're kind of in the midst of of another technical revolution right now, and how do you see that impacting the space?
yeah, I mean, again, having worked with TeamBridge and been a part of the development of the application, I mean, the caregiver scheduling component is mission critical. I mean, because a lot of times when you are scheduling, a lot of those things are happening within a vacuum. So to be able to have a transparency, you know, across on the operator standpoint, and caregivers being able to interact with their mobile application. So just like they're getting a notification that they've got a text message, they now have a notification that they have a shift available. And oh, by the way, you know, through this application, you're able to communicate that there is a bonus or an incentive for this particular shift. So, you know, instead of having it to be so layered and putting, even if you have a full-time scheduler, it reduces that administrative burden. And again, having technology that allows you that ease of use is key.
Absolutely. From my perspective, the automation is huge. You know, it can improve the clunky, time-consuming things that I have to do. Like everybody knows Monday is my admin day, and I kind of have to zone out and, you know, shift my focus to the billing, the scheduling, all the things. And, you know, automation could kind of take those back end tasks and, you know, take those hours off my plate, or you know, we wouldn't have to hire an outside person. And you know, it doesn't replace the human touch, it supports it, because if it's taking care of the behind the scenes tasks, we can focus more on the people. We have more time to check in with our caregivers, our families, and respond to those client issues or comments, questions, concerns, you know, in real time. So I think it will make us stronger for the people we serve.
Absolutely.
It really seems like that ties back in kind of to the quality care aspect that when, you
Yeah.
know, some of those administrative tasks and administrative burdens are, you know, removed from the plate. I mean, they're essential to keep the business running. They can't go, you know, unfulfilled. But at the same time, when that time is freed up, you can invest it more in that training, in that, you know, creating relationships with the caregivers, you know, with the clients, with their families to kind of elevate that level of quality care.
Lovely. Yeah.
Awesome. That's all that we had for questions, you know, kind of on the moderator side of it today. Fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Quick plug for our next webinar coming up. You know, wage access, attracting and retaining talent with the benefits workers want, specifically about TeamBridge's instant pay solution. That'll be in about a month from now on September 18th at 10 o'clock Pacific. Um, and yeah, that's it that we've got for today. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Emmy. Thank you, Zach.
You.
And
Thank you.
Thank
we'll
y'all
talk
for
to
putting
everyone
this
soon.
together.
Yeah, absolutely. Take